Friday once again. Let us do a thing. Finally, Friday is being brought to you today by Major Spoilers VIP and Patreon members from around the world. You can show your support and help us continue to do what we do by heading over to patreon.com/Major Spoilers. Well, happy Friday to all of you. It's been a couple of weeks since we've done a Finally Friday. Last week, I believe it was a thing going on. Something like that. And this Friday, there's things to talk about. I'm going to do some unboxings here today, and just talk about some things that are coming out or some things that are going on. And then there's a couple of news things that I want to talk about briefly. First thing, if you follow the Instagram at Major Spoilers, you may have already seen this one. Shazam! Magic and Monsters, the new Lego DC movie, out on Blu-ray, DVD, digital code, all those places. Yes, that's right. Not feeling well is what it is. Says geeky choreographer. But this is now out in stores. It's been out on digital for a while. And if you are someone that likes those Lego DC movies, I know my youngest was already asking me, hey, Dad, when can we watch this? And I was like, yeah, we can watch it anytime. You can watch it anytime. And so probably end up watching that tomorrow. But one of the things, if you want to get this movie, what's cool about buying the physical copy, now most of the time I'm a digital version only. This one's a good one to get is the physical copy because it comes with an exclusive Shazam Lego minifigure. Here's Captain Marvel, just so we can cause some more awkwardness for all the companies and properties who want me to promote their stuff. So that's pretty cool. I kind of dig that. That's a pretty cool little minifigure. I told my youngest he couldn't have it. We got geeky choreographer in the channel. Wayward Boy is there. Lagnus is there. Oh, I missed you the other day. Lagnus, when we were doing Sentinels of the Multiverse. You missed that. We won, by the way. Squirrel Brian is there. How you doing, dude? Yeah, look at my epic beard. I'm starting to look more and more like Orson Welles every day. So that's one thing that has come in the mail. Something that we haven't played in a long time, thank goodness, because I kind of got burned out on it. But I've still been buying the Arkham Horror collectible card game sets. And the Weaver of the Cosmos set came in this week, I believe. And this is like 2 campaigns ahead of where Dr. Brad Will and I stopped playing. Oh, look, speaking of Dr. Brad Will just entered the chat. Hello, Brad. I'm going to send you an email later about some stuff that you responded to me. Keep your tomorrow free if you like. So the Arkham Horror game, looking forward to that. I think this is the last one in this one. But here's the thing that I like. If you are someone who orders from Asmodee or Asmodee North America, when you order from them, because I don't think you get these, this is annoying me. I don't think you get these if you order through Amazon or from your friendly local game shop. But it is a collection of collectible cards. And these are really cool little postcards that have some, I guess this is upside down, huh? Or maybe it's not. Some really cool art. There we go. Some scary art. Look at that. Oh, no, I love this one. I haven't looked at any of these yet. Kind of has a Gravity Falls kind of vibe to it. And then this last one, I think this is the right way. Yeah, there's some people standing there. So you get some original art when you order that stuff. So there you go. That is pretty cool. Oh, I'm sorry. I was reading a Nightbot command and I was like, Nightbot, what are you talking about? I'm sorry. I don't know what you're talking about. Now, here's one that arrived a week ago, but I haven't even opened it up. I'm pretty sure I know what it is. And these are all things that I've ordered. Well, except for the Shazam. These other things, the Arkham Horror thing, and this one from Skelton Crew. Oh, nice. Look, they sent a little pin. Skelton Crew, I came across them many years ago. They are a company that makes reproductions of the Lock and Key keys. And there are 2 new keys that are out. Now, this is interesting because they, I guess, just recently stopped doing the... they recently stopped doing the little velvet bags that the keys used to come in favor of these boxes. So the first one that I have here is the rocket key. I'll get that out in here in just a minute. So that's kind of cool. And the other one that I ordered is the giant key. Now, this, of course, isn't the giant key. I think there was only one or two actual giant keys that were made. The giant keys in the book, of course, are, the size of a door. And they did make a couple of those. I think one for Joe Hill and one for Gabriel Rodriguez, the writer and the artist of the series. And they teased doing a giant key for years. Oh, I'm just tearing the crap out of this box. Thanks. But they said it was too expensive to do something that, was as large as it was. So they came up with this, and that looks pretty good. These are all metal keys. Wow, this is a heavy one. You can hear that. Look at that. That's a pretty good size key. I don't know if I can get the focus on that, but you can see. That's pretty hefty. That's a pretty hefty key, and of course, it'll just re-slot back into that. And then, of course, I've already ripped off the top of the box there, but I guess that's a pretty cool collectible. I think I have all of the keys that Skelton Crew has produced that are not like, reissues or variants of some of their other keys. I'm pretty sure I have all of them. And so getting these next 2 keys, we have to open the top and the bottom. There we go. Slide this one out because I think the rocket key, look how sweet that is. Let's get that one out of the... I'm sorry, it's the jet key. Look at how retro cool that is. These are all can be found if you're a fan of Lock and Key. Now, a lot of these are no longer in... There it goes. Are no longer in print or available. And so, if you can get them, grab them. They're starting to do a bunch of reissues, but a lot of them... Oh, you know what? I didn't look. I could have swore that this was supposed to come... Maybe I didn't get the autograph ones. In the past, I've had the keys. They come in these little velvet bags, and they come with little autograph tags, either by the maker of it, or Joe Hill, or I forget who else. I think I have some Gabriel Rodriguez autographs on these other ones. What I need to do now, since I have a laser cutter, is I need to build a display case for all of my keys. But the problem is, I don't know, I want to wait until they've released all of the keys, but of course the problem is they haven't stopped releasing the keys. And so I want to make a really nice display case for that. Yeah, Mark Smith 72 says that kind of looks like an old school Flash Gordon rocket. Or, Brad, what's that sci-fi award that's shaped like the rocket that looks just like that rocket? I forget which one that is. And then as I was digging around trying to set up this overhead cam for today's show, you'll never guess what I found in a box. Now, I don't even know if this thing still works or anymore, but check that out. PS Vita. Just sitting there in a box. Oh, hi. How you doing? It said. It doesn't power on. It's probably been years. The Hugo Awards, that's the one. It's probably been years since I've played with the Vita. I didn't even open it up. I don't even know if I have any games for it. How the heck do you open this thing up? All right, so in here we have, what is this? Oh, Lego Batman 2 is in here. That's the game that is in here. And then I think there was storage or something on the other side. Oh no, that's a plug. I don't even know if I can find the power cables for this, but I really enjoyed the PS Vita for what it was when it came out. I don't know if it is the best handheld console ever made because, oh crap. Whoops. Because if we put these two side by side, I kind of like the Switch, to be honest. I kind of like the Switch. I think it's a little bit bigger. I think the screen is a little bit larger. I think it has more capabilities. But I mean, for what this was, what was the one that came out before the PS Vita? The PlayStation Game Boy or whatever it is that had those little micro discs that everyone hated. But yeah, the PS Vita, I'm going to have to see if this one will work. You know, it's got the camera on the back. It's got the little things on the bottom so you can rub. And the other thing, if I remember correctly, this has a thing with your PS4 where, oh yeah, the PSP, where you could basically stream your game from your PS4 to the PS Vita and play your games on the PS Vita somewhere else in the house. I'm going to see if I can get this to fire up, but I think I like the Switch better. Although I don't get to play my Switch that often. I did buy a skin for it, a Pokemon skin. Just because. Why not? And I think that's it. I think those are the things that have come in recently that I wanted to kind of show you guys if you were interested in some of those things. What's going on. Scroll Brian says that he still has his 25-year-old Game Boy and it works just fine. Switch is a hybrid and needs that table dock. I don't know. Still a handheld console. I have a question, Scroll Brian. Scroll Brian, after I talked about, I would hold up my Oculus at this point and show everybody. But I have 2 times a day now, for about 5 hours a day, my son is playing on the Oculus. I think I've gotten to play it maybe 4 hours since he discovered that I had it. But I'm curious, Scroll Brian, what did you think? What does your family think of your Oculus? I hope you guys are enjoying the heck out of that thing. My NES from 1988 works fine too, says Malone. Scroll Brian says it makes him motion sick. Yeah, I hear some people get that way. I know you had sent me a message or an email or something talking about doing the demo walkthrough app, you know, where you're picking up the guns and throwing the paper airplanes and stuff. First time I played that, I got really dizzy because I couldn't get my balance set right. But then after I jumped into Beat Saber, I didn't have that problem anymore. There's a couple times when you look down and you see you're just up on top of this whole tall platform. And for me, with my heights, scared of heights thing, sometimes it gets me a little weirded out. But you should go check out some of those 360-degree videos on YouTube where they're flying through countrysides and stuff. That's pretty cool. And also, if you get a chance, check out Google Earth with the Oculus, because you can go into a street view and it makes you feel like you're Godzilla standing above all the buildings. It's really cool. Space Pirate Trainer is fun. Beat Saber is great. I don't know if I have Space Pirate Trainer. I don't think we have that one. I don't even remember all the games we have on the system because I don't get to play it hardly at all. We'll be having to buy some more games this weekend, though. More on that next time. So those are just some of the things that have come in the mail. If you need to send something to me... Oh, I do. Where's Texura? Is Texura in the chat today? I see Omega Lazarus is over in the Discord. But I don't know if Texura is watching the game stream. We are getting ready to expand Critical Hit a little bit. And so that requires a whole bunch of equipment that has to be bought to add just one person to the game. And I was lamenting that the best computer to add into the system is another little, what are those little sandwich Macs called? The Mac Minis. And I was lamenting having to spend a bunch of money to buy a new Mac Mini. And Texura, I opened it up this week. He had sent me one that he was no longer using from like 2006 or whatever. And fired it up. It works perfectly. So if Texura is watching now or in the future, hey, thank you so much. That came in. Everything is connected. It's working. And I appreciate that. But yeah, so that's really, really cool. So if you need to send me anything, just reach out to me, podcast@majorspoilers.com, and we can connect and do some things. Yeah, it was really nice. Was really, really nice. Okay, let's talk about one more thing that I think is pretty cool. This was, we were talking about a lot yesterday on Twitter, and that is a Kickstarter that is currently going on from Stronghold Games, and that is the Terraforming Mars Big Box. Now, a lot of people aren't familiar with the Big Box idea. Maybe you are, but the idea with a Big Box is you've bought all these games, you've bought all these expansions, and you got a million boxes all over the place. For those of you that watch me play the Street Masters beta on Monday and Tuesday during the lunchtime game stream, you saw me take you and show all the boxes that Street Masters comes in. Well, the Big Box, theoretically, is supposed to allow you to take all of your other boxes and components and put it into one big box. Sometimes it works out really well. I have yet to find a big box that works out perfectly because the Street Masters big box actually doesn't hold all of the miniatures and all of the cards if you want to keep your miniatures in the trays. You have to put them in little Ziploc bags and stack them all on top of one another if you want that big box to work, right? The Sentinels of the Multiverse big box works because I do have all of the stuff inside of that big box. Problem is, they made it just a little bit too wide. So there's no way that it fits on the Calyx shelving system from IKEA. And for those of you that don't know what that is, it is probably the most common game storage system that I see board gamers all over the world using. It's like a 12-inch by 12-inch or 13-inch by 13-inch storage space. And the 6x6 Calyx, or I think it's 5x5, maybe it's 6x6, is a huge 6-foot by 6-foot shelving system. And so I was very excited. Hey, Sentinels in the Multiverse, just going to be able to slide that right into one of those boxes. And sure enough, they made it like a half of an inch too wide. And so it won't fit into that shelving system. So now it's just taking up room on my home theater console. Oops, sorry. But now we have Terraforming Mars. And what's cool about the Terraforming Mars box is they do claim that it will fit all your pieces. Let's scroll down to, I'm showing you all the cool stuff. But it does show that it will fit all of your games and the expansions and all of that. But the thing that has a lot of people excited are these 3D tiles. Now, I don't know if you have played the Terraforming Mars online game, the digital game, but there are some pretty cool animations and some pretty cool things that give you a 3D effect when you're placing your tiles in that game. And so I think they're trying to replicate this with all of these very cool little 3D tile pieces that look really, really neat. And really, the $99 pledge just gets you the box and the 3D pieces. If you want to go up higher, of course, it's much more expensive. If you want to get the base game, or if you want to get the expansion, so on. I think the highest price is like $250, $224. But considering all of the things you get for that, that's a pretty good deal. And, you know, $224 may seem like a lot, but if you go back and look at some of the other Kickstarters that have gone on, Cthulhu Wars Brad, how much did we spend on that game system? the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the upcoming Batman game, what's the other one that I just... Street Masters? Probably all around in that same area. I have a photo of me by the Kalax sign by the Kalax village I float around, as it's one of the villages part of the town I live around. Oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, we spent a lot of money on that Call of Cthulhu game. So that's one thing that you guys might be interested in. But now let's talk about... I don't know if this is a bonehead move, or a nice move, or a nice gesture, or whatever it is. But I think what we're seeing is Stockholm Syndrome in action. So Robert Kirkman announced yesterday that they're coming out with a one-shot, I believe. Negan Lives #1. So if you're a Walking Dead fan, you're going to want to go out there and get this new Walking Dead series. Spurned by a slowly rebuilding society, Negan lives a life of desperate isolation, or does he? In the tradition of Here's Negan, this all-new story in Negan Lives #1 gives readers a glimpse into what has happened to one of The Walking Dead's most popular characters in the time since his last appearance in The Walking Dead 174. Now, this is from Robert Kirkman and Charlie Adler, and this is released really through Skybound, but Skybound and Image are basically tied with one another. The thing that is the oddest about this is that Skybound Kirkman is only going to release Negan Lives as a physical comic book that you can only pick up at comic book stores. And he says that Charlie Adler and I, who's the Charlie Adler doing the art, this is from Robert Kirkman, while Charlie Adler and I had laid the series to rest, this felt like something special we could do for the store owners who made our series a success to begin with. To that end, I'm happy to report that 100% of the revenue generated from this book will go to the stores selling it. The retailer community does backbreaking work to get comics into the hands of loving fans. We should all be doing more in these trying times to show them how appreciative they are. That's only part of the quote. The other part of the quote is, I really enjoyed seeing what Steve Geppi was doing with Diamond Comics and making the comeback bigger than it was. And so this is us doing our part. And I can appreciate that. I can appreciate, doing something that's exclusive. So I don't have a problem with that. The thing that is weird is, even if digital comic book sales only represent between 10 and 40% of the entire comic book market sold, that seems like something that, I don't know, seems like something that is youth leaving money on the table. And we've talked about leaving money on the table before. And I know some people are sitting there going, but Stephen, the comic book stores get to keep all this money. Kirkman's not getting anything. Adler's not getting anything. The stores get to keep 100% of that. Great. They still have to do the work. They're still going to have to pay whatever the cover price of, or not the cover price, but the sale price of this is, so that they can get copies into their store. And I don't believe there are going to be reprints made of this. So stores are going to take a little bit of a risk in getting all of these copies to them. But why not just go a little step further and say, hey, we're going to divvy up all of the digital comic book sales after Comixology takes their cut, and we're going to give those to the comic shops too. Or we're going to give each store a code that people can redeem at Comixology so that those stores can get the money. But the thing is, this really feels like not just, hey, we're in the middle of this pandemic and this is something that we're doing for comic shops to support them during the coronavirus. This really comes at a time when it feels like someone is thumbing their nose at DC Comics for leaving Diamond and saying, well, here's what we're going to do. Neener. We're going to distribute through Diamond, and we're going to give 100% of the proceeds to the comic shops. This really feels, as I said on Twitter, it feels like we're going to show these guys. We're going to thumb our nose at our competitors, and we're going to chop off our hand. Yeah, that'll teach them. That's really kind of what this feels like. And I see that Lagnus says, no digital? Well, that makes it easy for me. No, now Malone says, pretty sure Kirkman doesn't have to do anything for money ever again, so he can do whatever, sure. But who's paying for all of this? Is Charlie Adler doing okay? Is he doing okay with money from these sales? Is he paying Charlie for that? And maybe they came together as a duo and said, yeah, let's do this. Let's pay for the entire cost of this. Or maybe they're expecting Image to pay the entire cost of this production to get it out there. Now, this book comes out on July 1st. But without some kind of a compensation to cover the cost of printing, to say that 100% of the proceeds, the 100% of the profits, or 100% of the sale, the revenue generated goes to the stores, I will say is a nice gesture, but you better make sure this isn't going to shoot you in the foot. Especially when Image Comics and Skybound aren't getting any money from Diamond right now. And they may not for 3, 4 months, 6 months, a year from now, maybe. If Diamond survives that long. So, as stores open back up, yes, I do like comic shops. Don't get me wrong. I think people will hear me talk about comic shops in this way and are like, Steven, why do you hate comic shops? I don't hate comic shops. I hate really poorly run comic shops. I love really, really good comic shops, and I will give them my money, and I will go and visit them. But I'm not going to be able to read Negan Lives. I don't have a comic shop. I don't have a comic shop within 3 hours of me. The closest one is in Wichita or Topeka, depending on how you want to calculate those miles. So yeah, I'm not gonna see this comic ever. Is that one of those, welp, sorry? What about all those Walking Dead fans that don't have comic shops near them? This is part of that elitist attitude for East Coast, West Coast stuff that also kind of ruffles people's feathers, in that you got to realize that not everyone has a comic shop in their town or their city or within a 30-minute drive of where they live. Some people are going to have to travel 3 hours, and I'm certainly not going to travel 3 hours for this comic book just to help out help out a comic shop. If I want to read this, I want to go and buy it through Comixology or through Image's own digital. Now, that's one thing I'm going to have to check out, because digital comics also, Image Comics also sells comics through their website. It'll be interesting to see if this pops up there. So I wanted to bring that up. It's not that I hate comic shops. I hate poorly run comic shops. And I think the reason why we don't have comic shops in every town, number one, is because they are poorly run. Most of them are poorly run, and they go out of business very quickly. The last one we had, I think, was only open for 3 months, and then it shuttered its doors. And again, if you read the full statement from Robert Kirkman and Image Comics, this really feels like, well, we need to support what Diamond is doing because, they're a distributor of comics. And that's why I said this feels like Stockholm Syndrome. Let's do what we can to support the LCSs and Diamond, but not realizing that Diamond is a very abusive monopoly. And just say, okay, well, we love you, Diamond. Malone says, it's interesting to see how this whole thing works out. Looking up here from Northern Europe, I don't have a horse in this race. Yeah, I mean, this is great. I mean, don't get me wrong. I also, the other part of me says that by making this announcement ahead of time, several weeks ahead of time, so comic shops can order as many copies as they can for this, this also feels like a little bit of an apology tour by Robert Kirkman, who did not announce, did not tell anyone, told Image to keep it hush-hush, so that when that final issue of The Walking Dead dropped, nobody knew it was the final issue. Stores didn't even know it was the final issue until they got it that day and were putting it on the shelves. And then the word started to spread. Oh my gosh, this is the end of the series. You guys weren't expecting this. Ha ha ha. Robert Kirkman wanted to make this a surprise. And so many comic shops were angry at Robert Kirkman because if they had known it was the end of the series, they would have ordered a lot more. And of course, that shot prices up through the roof. Many of that being sold through the secondary market, 50, 60, $100 for that final issue because it was such a short run of the first printings. And that made comic shops mad too because they could have made that money. So this also kind of feels like an apology tour. So when I see this Negan Lives press release, part of me is like, wow. Wow. What are you thinking? I don't know. What do you guys think? Let's see. Scroll Brian asked a question. Why do studios keep expecting theaters to open? No billion-dollar movie until a vaccine. I don't know. I wouldn't say that no billion-dollar movie until a vaccine. I mean, they're really hoping that Tenet makes $1 billion when it comes out at the end of the month. They're really hoping that Wonder Woman makes $1 billion when it releases. They're really hoping that Black Widow makes $1 billion, that Mulan makes $1 billion when they release, because people are going to be so thirsty, so desperate to get back to those theaters. And let's not even get started on stupid AMC. Well, we're not going to require people to wear masks because we don't want to make this political. And then the very next day, they have to walk that back and said, well, we've been talking with our health experts. AMC has health experts? You got to be crapping me on that. Because if you've ever walked into an AMC bathroom, you've ever walked into an AMC theater or tried to walk on an AMC theater floor, you know that they don't have health experts. Their health experts are 13-year-old pimply-faced kids going, excuse me, sir, there's soda all over this floor. Meanwhile, the soda fountain is dripping and leaking all over the floor, making it worse. AMC and their science experts, give me a break. But no, you know what? I agree. I am going to say that I am taking Spike Lee's advice on this. When asked when he would be returning to the theater or if he was excited about getting back to the movie theater, he said, I'm not going to the movies until there's a vaccine. And I agree. I'm not going back to the theaters until there's a vaccine. And I think there's a lot of people out there, Brian. It sounds like, Scroll Brian, it sounds like you're that way. Brad, I know you're that way. I don't know about the rest of you, Wayward Boy, if you guys are that way in Europe. Lagna says, I'm not doing any big gatherings until vaccines. Yeah. So, if you just remember back in, what was this, like December of last year, January, it feels like forever ago, when we were talking about AMC potentially going out of business. They were saved at the last minute by a $4 billion infusion, or $450 million, I forget what the exact number was, from an Asian investor. I think by the end of the year, if there's not a vaccine by the end of the year and it's not safe to be in a packed theater, or even a 50% full theater, or a 10% full theater, no way are any of these movies going to make $1 billion. And no way is AMC going to survive through 2021. Now, of course, we don't know where all of that big money that was doled out to businesses went, because, you know, Steve Mnuchin wants to keep that quiet. Maybe AMC is going to get a bailout, but we don't have a vaccine by the middle of next year. You can kiss AMC goodbye. That's just my holding my finger up into the air and figuring out which way the wind blows. I think by the end, there won't be just a movie theater chain gone under if the virus spikes every time people meet up. Yeah, well, you got to get that vaccine. I'm not excited about The Walking Dead. It never appealed to me, said Shane in Canada. Shane in Canada also says that, I'm sorry, that is Burrita. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't even pronounce those things. No way, I work in a public health. I'm not going into a movie theater. Never is a huge fan of the theater. $60 to watch a movie, not worth it. Is it, though? Because we did talk about this months ago, when, again, I was up on the premium VOD, which, you know, studios started to do. I'm willing, you know, if you want to get Tenet out, I'll drop $40 for Tenet. I'll drop $40 for Tenet, not a problem. I won't drop 60, but 40 to watch Black Widow right now, 40 to watch Tenet right now, 40 to watch Wonder Woman right now, you better believe it. You can get $120 of my money in one weekend. or you can get none of my money for the next year. It's up to you, studios. I love going to the theater. Me and the wife go to all the time, new movies, Metro movies. We hardly watch any at home. So this is no fun, but it's life. Well, I understand where you're coming from. I mean, there was a time when I loved going to the movie theater. When I was younger, it was every week at least one movie theater, at least one movie. And in many cases, when I lived in California, I was probably going and seeing 3 movies, 4 movies a week. I would go on a Friday night. I would go on Saturday morning. I'd probably go on a Sunday night with a friend. And then depending on how my work situation was, sometimes they'd just say, hey, everybody take a Thursday off. And I'd go see a Thursday afternoon movie. Sometimes I'd see 2 or 3 movies in a day. I remember one Christmas, that's all I did all day. See movies in the theater. Something magical about that theater experience, that communal experience. There is something good about that. But somewhere around 2000, 2001, it totally changed. It went from a place where people were respectful, where we all had a shared communal experience, and it went into the area of talking and cell phones and smacking on your food loud and theaters not keeping up the standards of cleanliness that you expect. And that's when I kind of lost interest in going to the theaters. It just became more and more annoying. Promises made, none of the promises kept by the theaters. And AMC was and is the biggest offender in my opinion. In my opinion, AMC can only do wrong. I do not believe that they are a good movie chain. I do not believe that they care about the experience that the audience is having. I think all they care about is selling those concessions and shuffling you through as fast as possible. I've never seen a noisy person yanked out of the theater. I've never had a pleasant experience in a theater that is promising me a grand time. It just doesn't happen with AMC. I'm sorry. And that's why I am kind of a fan. I wish we had one close by of the Alamo Drafthouse, where it's like you don't use your phone. If you're talking and someone complains, you're out of there. If you're using your phone, you're banned for life. I like that. I like that a lot. Geeky Choreographer says, yeah, that's what killed our experience with AMC. My partner and I. We still love Studio Movie Grill and Movie Tavern for the food options. Yeah, $7 for a 10-cent drink. Anyway, I didn't want to go too far into the AMC zone, but Brian, way to go. Yeah, I don't think that we're going to. So here's what's going to happen. I think if the studios are pushed, they're going to see about getting tenant out on that opening weekend. They're going to realize that nobody is going to see the movie. Now, maybe the theaters are going to be packed. Who knows? I think that's a mistake. Or 30% capacity or whatever it's going to be. But after that weekend, the studios are going to go, oh my gosh, we're not making any money on this Tenet movie, which we were expecting to make $1 billion. So, hey, movie theaters, in 2 weeks, we're releasing this on VOD because we've got to make our money. And we've made our commitment to you that we are going to make sure that those movies come to you first. But now it's time for us to make some money. And I think we're going to see these things quickly transition to premium VODs. Well, that's great if you did that. Oh, that's Dr. Bradley Will when you were in college. Crap, man, that was 1950. Things were different in the 50s, man. All right, that's it for this week's show. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. Hopefully this was entertaining to you. Hopefully this was enjoyable for you. If you would, please, just go ahead and give a follow. You don't have to subscribe. You don't have to do any of that stuff. Although if you do have an Amazon Prime account, if you do subscribe, that money comes right out of Jeff Bezos' pocket. Doesn't cost you anything. But if you would follow me so you know when our next shows are, when we go live tomorrow afternoon, 3 o'clock p.m. Central Time, we will be doing another Saturday game stream like we do every week. If you are a Gold VIP member at patreon.com/majorspoilers, Tomorrow at 1 o'clock p.m. Central Time is the monthly VIP live chat, where I tell you about all the things that are going on behind the scenes at Major Spoilers, some business things. We'll be talking about some of our release schedules for things that we're doing. I'll talk about that new computer that's been added into the Critical Hit setup. I'll also be talking about, someone made a comment the other day that really was off-putting in that they were expecting to be, well, I'll just talk about it tomorrow. I'll leave it at that. I don't want to publicly dunk on a small company because I was there once, but I think that this small company is also has too high of expectations when they get into it. So we'll talk about that tomorrow during the VIP live stream. That's 1 o'clock until 2 o'clock p.m. Central Time. I hope to see you there if you're a Gold VIP member. And if you're not a Gold VIP member, you can sign up at patreon.com/Major Spoilers. You get a bunch of bonus content when you sign up. In fact, you get access to the entire library of bonus content, which is, I think the last time I looked, something like 600 different things. Probably more than that. It's all over there at patreon.com/Major Spoilers. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. You guys have a great week. Be good, do good, and we will see you next time when it is finally Friday.